Hey, what's going on? My name is Jake, and Tekken 8 just got an emergency fix. What stands out right away is the big attacked while down correction. The patch notes explain that the way certain moves behaved against an opponent in a face-down knockdown state had changed unintentionally in the previous update, and that has now been fixed. That sounds like a dry line in a patch note, but in a fighting game it is huge because floor situations decide rounds all the time, and even a tiny change in how a move connects can tilt momentum in a way that feels completely wrong. The affected list is broad too, with characters like Jun, Lee, Raven, Steve, Azucena, Lydia, Yoshimitsu, Asuka, Eddie, Lily, Shaheen, Leroy, Anna, Victor, Lars, Elisa, Clive, Xiaoyu, Fakuma, Miarizo, Miara, Feng, Heihachi, Jack 8, King, and Leo all getting some kind of correction in that area. A few of the individual fixes are especially worth calling out because they show the kind of issues this update is trying to clean up. Feng had a heat-related bug where if you timed an input just right after moving into shifting clouds, the game could let you use during heat again when it should not have. Heihachi had an input issue where certain commands could wrongly trigger a hold state even without the correct input. Jack 8 had a recovery change tied to Gamma How, including a note that standing block became possible before the end of the recovery when that move hit. King had a block side problem after Jaguar sprint on block that prevented reverse special bomb from being performed with the intended Jaguar sprint follow-ups. Leo's heat burst and heat smash were also not working properly through the heat burst, heat smash button, and Steve had a timing sensitive problem in flicker stance where certain moves could fail depending on when the command was entered. Lydia also got a specific visual fix tied to her stance flow, where after landing a move following a KO while in Heaven and Earth level 3, the visual effects were not displaying correctly. That one may sound cosmetic on the surface, but these details matter because when a fighting game is in a messy state, even the visual feedback starts making players question whether the system is trustworthy. When the animations, hit reactions, and stance transitions all line up properly, the match feels readable again, and that is a big part of what this patch seems to be trying to restore. There is also a very practical fix for customization players. Bandai Namco says the magic mirror setting that had been configured before the earlier update was being unintentionally reset when the big update landed, and that issue is now fixed. The important catch is that anything already reset by that earlier update will not automatically come back with this patch. So anyone affected needs to set it again manually through Player Customize. That is the kind of thing that can be easy to miss until someone loads up the game and wonders why their setup suddenly feels off. If you care about replays, there is another side effect worth knowing. Downloaded replays created before the update can no longer be played back, and online replay data made before the update gets deleted. Ghost data, on the other hand, stays in place, although the updated character behavior and performance will carry over into Ghost records after the patch. That means the update is not only changing live matches, it is also resetting part of the game's recorded history, which is pretty normal for a major correction patch, but still important to keep in mind. Looking ahead, Bandai Namco is making it pretty clear that this is just the first step. The official message says balance adjustment data is planned for mid-April in ver 3.02, and another update is planned for late spring in ver 3.01. They also say they are still reviewing priorities around bug fixes, behavior changes that create excessive rewards, and performance tuning centered on the heat system, with short-term fixes going out first and larger impact changes being rolled out step by step after enough verification. So this is not the company pretending everything is solved in one shot. It is more like a staged response where they are trying to stop the worst problems now and deal with the deeper balance questions over time. And honestly, that is probably the fairest way to look at it. This patch is not the kind of update that makes everybody suddenly forget the frustration around Season 3, but it does show that the team is reacting to the most obvious mistakes and trying to get the game back onto steadier ground. For a fighting game, that matters a lot because consistency is everything. When a move behaves differently than it should, when a stance interaction goes sideways, or when a setup quietly gives one side an advantage it was never supposed to have, the whole competitive feel starts to wobble. So this emergency patch feels less like a celebration and more like damage control. But damage control is still important when the goal is to make the game feel honest again.